What can a technician with remote access do? Hi, everyone. Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question that unfortunately is fairly typical. Question. I called the number that I thought was the support center and was immediately connected with a technician who skillfully asked my permission to allow him access to my computer so that he could diagnose the problem. And I agreed. After he informed me that I had over 1,000 errors that needed to be erased and that he could do this for me for only $250, I realized that this was some kind of a scam, and I promptly ended the call. What kind of risk have I exposed myself to? Well, first, good on you for terminating that call. I hear about many people falling for scams like this. And indeed, this is a scam. Now, you let a stranger with possibly or probably malicious intent use your machine remotely. How worried should you be? Well, unfortunately, there really isn't a clear answer. There's no way to know what the technician has done. If you knew what you were watching as they worked, you might have seen what they were doing. The willingness to answer questions about what you were seeing might be a clue. Unfortunately, the tools and tricks available to them also include things that you might not see once they've established a foothold. They could have done nothing. They could have done something you would have seen, or they could have done something that you would never have even noticed. So, we end up playing the odds. From what you describe, the most likely scenario is that they've done nothing. The technician was probably only after your money in the form of purchasing his services to clean your machine. It's possible that this was the extent of the scam. By not falling for it and disconnecting as you did, perhaps nothing malicious was left behind. From the scammer's point of view, this is the easiest and safest way to go. Beyond commonly available remote access software, there's no additional hacking tools that are required. It's simply social engineering to get you to hand over your credit card information. As long as enough people fall for the scam, it's a success. Nothing else is needed. Now, they could have done something that you'd see. Most remote access utilities, well, they allow you by default to see what the remote user is doing to your machine. Now, that's true with the tools the scammers commonly use, in part so they can show you the errors that are on your machine, usually by exploiting the mess that is the event viewer log. But that means you would see whatever else they were doing as they did it. If the technician downloaded or transferred software onto your machine, you'd see it being done. If they ran a program, you'd see it. If they ran a setup, you'd see it. Now, you'd have to understand what you were seeing as it happened, and of course, they rely on most people not being able to do that. If you question them, they'll make up a reason and say it's nothing to worry about. If they downloaded and installed anything, you need to assume that they downloaded and installed malware. Now, they could have done something you wouldn't see. This is kind of where things get difficult, tricky even. It's possible that the remote connection set up by the scammer included connections you could not see. Perhaps a sleight of hand move while they were confusing you with the event viewer allowed them to run a program and set up a malicious backdoor connection. Perhaps the type of remote connection that they set up allowed them to bypass your firewall. Perhaps this backdoor will keep running after you've hung up, allowing them access anytime in the future. Perhaps. Maybe the entire time they had you online, they were surreptitiously loading your machine up with all sorts of malware, such as malware that could steal your credentials as you use your machine long after disconnecting. Now, from what I've heard, this isn't common, but it has and can happen. The safest thing for you to do, of course, is to assume that your machine has been infected. What you need to do next depends on what you experienced, what you find, and honestly, your personal level of security and or paranoia. Here's what I would do. I would immediately run a full anti-malware scan with your installed security software. In Windows 10 or 11, that's usually Windows Defender. Run an additional full scan using another tool, preferably a tool like the free version of Malwarebytes anti-malware. And then keep a close eye out for any behavior that looks the least bit suspicious, incorrect, or, most importantly, new. If all that comes up clean, it's probably enough. Of course, it's still no guarantee. If there's even the slightest problem with the scans or the computer's behavior, or if probably isn't good enough for your peace of mind, you really have only one solution: the nuclear option. Back up, reinstall Windows from scratch, reinstall your applications from scratch, restore your data from the backup or elsewhere, and learn from the experience. Bottom line, don't let strangers take remote control of your system. If it's too late or you already have, scan your system, watch for unexpected behavior, and be prepared to reinstall from scratch if you're not certain it wasn't compromised. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/85111. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.